You know, you flip a switch, the lights come on. It feels so simple, right? But behind that switch, there's this enormous, complex system, the electric grid. And right now, it's going through a massive, almost invisible revolution. And the engine behind it all? It's a technology that's reshaping just about everything. Artificial intelligence.
So, to really get where we're going, you gotta understand where we've been. Picture this, the grid's central nerve system. In a control room just like this one, a constant flood of data from hundreds of thousands of points hits the screens every few seconds. For decades, it's been human operators acting like maestros of this incredibly complex symphony, constantly balancing supply and demand for millions of us 24/7.
But the music is changing, and the rise of renewable energy has thrown a huge new variable into the mix. This right here is what operators call the duck curve. And believe me, it's one of the biggest headaches for the modern grid. See, during the day, solar panels are everywhere, flooding the grid with cheap power, so demand from the big old power plants just plummets. But then the sun sets, and that solar power vanishes right when everyone gets home and starts turning everything on. This creates this massive, incredibly steep ramp-up in demand that the old system just struggles to meet.
So what this all boils down to is our grid, which was designed for a totally different era, is now facing a perfect storm. We've got skyrocketing demand from new things like EVs, we've got more and more extreme weather, and we've got the wild, unpredictable nature of clean energy, all pushing it to its limits.
Think about it. The old grid was simple. Power flowed one way, from a giant power plant, down the lines, to your house. Easy. But today, with rooftop solar, home batteries, electric vehicles that can send power back to the grid, energy is flowing in every single direction. Your house might be selling power to your neighbor's house. It's not a one-way street anymore. It's a crazy, multi-directional energy superhighway.
So how on earth do you manage this new, complex highway? Well, the solution isn't just building another giant new power plant. It actually starts much, much smaller, right in our own communities, with this really cool idea called a virtual power plant.
Okay, so what is a virtual power plant, or VPP? Well, think of it like this. It's basically a neighborhood team-up. It's a smart network that connects all sorts of things like home batteries, smart thermostats, even our electric cars. It takes all of their small, individual power capacities and bundles them together into one large resource that the grid can call on whenever it needs a little extra juice.
And the coolest part is what actually makes up a VPP. This isn't some far-off futuristic technology. It's the solar panels you see on roofs, it's the home batteries people are installing in their garages, the smart thermostat on the wall, and the EV you might be driving. These everyday devices are literally the building blocks of a 21st century power plant.
And this isn't just a theory, it's already saving people real money. In Vermont, they ran programs that basically organized all these home devices into a VPP. The result? They saved customers a cool $3 million just by dialing back energy demand during the most expensive peak hours.
So we've seen how this works at a neighborhood level. Now let's zoom in even further, because this whole revolution really builds right down to your individual home. It's about turning your house from just a consumer of energy into an active participant, a mini power source for the entire grid. Now, when we talk about energy independence at home, there are two key goals, and they're a little different. First, you have self-consumption. That's basically using the solar power you generate as you generate it. But then there's self-sufficiency. That's the real grand prize. It's about meeting your home's total electricity needs, day and night, with the power you make and store yourself. And this chart, wow, this chart shows something absolutely crucial. For a lot of homes, just slapping on more solar panels won't get you to full energy independence. But look at that orange line for self-sufficiency. As you add more battery capacity, it shoots up dramatically. The takeaway is huge. It's not just about making power, it's about storing it. That balance is the real key to cutting the cord. Okay, so we've got millions of new energy sources, everything from solar panels to car batteries, all interacting in these super complex ways. How can any one person, or even a team of people, possibly manage all of this? Well, this is where we bring in the final piece of the puzzle, an artificial intelligence to be the grid's brand new brain. But of course, putting AI in charge of our most critical infrastructure, that's a huge step. As this report from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory points out, it's a lot like how people were skeptical and kind of nervous about the electric light bulb back in the 1800s. There are totally valid concerns today about AI's reliability and safety. It's a revolutionary technology for sure, but it has to earn our trust. So let's look at the specific, real-world problems that AI can solve. Here's a big one. In this new, decentralized grid, you don't always have perfect information. You get dropouts, missing data, blank spots.
So how can an operator make a life-or-death decision when they literally can't see the full picture?
Well, AI can essentially fill in the blanks. The best analogy is to think of photo software that restores an old damaged picture. By learning all the normal patterns of the grid from tons of historical data, the AI can make an incredibly educated guess about what that missing data should be. It takes a blurry, incomplete picture and makes it sharp and clear, giving operators the view they need to make the right call.
All right, here's another challenge for you. Just sheer information overload. During that terrible winter storm in Texas back in 2021, grid operators were slammed with an estimated, get this, 100,000 alarms in a single day. How can any human being possibly sort through that much noise to find the one or two signals that actually require immediate action?
And this is where AI acts as the ultimate intelligent filter. It's just perfect for this. It takes that chaotic flood of alarms you see on the left and funnels it down. It analyzes everything in milliseconds, figures out the root cause, and then presents the human operator with only the handful of critical events that truly need their attention. It stops what they call alarm fatigue and lets them focus on what really matters.
So the final step is to bring all of these different AI tools together, and that's a concept called AI orchestration. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a conductor leading an orchestra. It takes the weather forecast from one AI, the grid status from another, maybe market prices from a third, and it coordinates all of them. It makes them all play in harmony to create one single clear insight for the operator to act on.
Now, this all sounds incredibly promising, I know, but we have to be realistic. Building this AI-powered grid of the future is not going to happen overnight. There are some pretty significant hurdles, both technical and social, that we still need to figure out. I mean, first and foremost, we have to build AI that we can actually trust, that can explain its decisions. We need to figure out how to share all this sensitive grid data securely. We're going to need new standards, new certifications for these AI tools, just like we have for human operators. And, maybe most importantly, we have to figure out how humans and AI are going to work together as a team and tackle all the big policy questions this stuff brings up.
But the destination is so worth the journey. The whole point of all this, the ultimate goal, is an electric grid that is more resilient against things like extreme weather, that's more affordable for all of us, and that's powered by clean energy. It really is a future where our own homes and cars are active partners in creating a more stable, sustainable world.
So, this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The power plant of the 20th century. It was a massive building way off on the horizon. The power plant of the future? It might just be your entire neighborhood, all connected and coordinated by an AI. The technology is coming. The only real question is, are we ready to connect?